What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Zach Hankins for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. He left a question saying, who are the favorites going into this postseason after the NBA trade deadline? Of course, the big trade, the seismic move was Luka Doncic being traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis and Max Christie, I believe it was. Of course, there were other trades as well, big trades. You had De'Aaron Fox being traded from the Kings to the San Antonio Spurs to team up with Victor Wembanyama. You know the NBA was going to do him a solid, Victor Wembanyama. And Brandon Ingram, of course, was traded from the New Orleans Pelicans to the Toronto Raptors. And so who are the favorites? Because there were other trades as well, other big moves. So look, to me, okay, this is just my opinion. I think you could definitely make an argument that in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers are the prohibited favorites to go all the way. And as great as they were, they somehow upgraded when they traded Karis LeVert to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for DeAndre Hunter. I believe his name is. DeAndre Hunter, who was a six-man a year candidate, who was averaging 19 points coming off the bench, adds to the Cavaliers. Karis LeVert was really good, but he was a little bit streaky. I think Karis LeVert was a little bit better defensively, from what I could tell. But Hunter, at least consistency, but Hunter has defensive capabilities because of his size. He's like 6'9", 6'10". And with that size and that length, that could definitely be just his sheer size can pose problems on the defensive end. And he's a great shooter from outside, 39%. We got a guy that's capable of scoring that many points, have that type of scoring weapon on a team that already has other scoring options. He makes the Cavaliers even better. So to me, I think the Cavaliers are the favorites in the East. Although I do think that the Bucks getting Kyle Kuzma, right, from the Washington Wizards in exchange for Chris Middleton. I know Chris Middleton was a longtime fan favorite. He is a Bucks all-time great. But, you know, sometimes you got to set your heart, your feelings aside, your affection for a player, and look what's best for the franchise as a whole. You know, you got to do what's best. And I said before, you know, Kyle Kuzma was a really good player when he was playing with the Los Angeles Lakers. But, you know, the Washington Wizards is where many players go to their careers fall apart. Don't get me wrong. If you're a guy that wants to just get paid and put up stats, you'll love it in Washington. You don't really care about winning. Bad habits can start with the Wizards too. You can start just being more concerned about putting up numbers and, you know, being a baller outside of basketball. But Kyle Kuzma, hopefully, with the Milwaukee Bucks, and there are signs that this might be the case, this can revitalize his career. Also, I like the fact that they picked up Kevin Porter Jr. Of course, Kevin Porter Jr. played for the Houston Rockets. He has big-time game. Just a couple of years ago, he was averaging 19 points a game in the NBA. So you got two solid scorers that have joined the Milwaukee Bucks, two younger, more athletic guys. Kyle Kuzma is 6'10". I think people forget that. I think Kevin Porter Jr. is like 6'7", 6'8". So you got two younger guys with size. And when the Bucks get Giannis back, I think they'll be, once these guys get situated and mesh in the second half of the season, I think the Bucks will become a dangerous team. You know, they're not going to have the best record. I think the Bucks going to probably finish like 46-36 or something like that. That's just a guess of mine. But hey, you never know what could happen in the playoffs. I think the Knicks are dangerous, but the Knicks, you know, they're a little bit inconsistent at times. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but excuse me, the Knicks are definitely dangerous. But you know, my thing with any team with Tom Thibodeau, I've always said, watch out for wear and tear with Tom Thibodeau, man. Anytime we saw that last year with the Knicks in the playoffs. That's one of my things about any team with Tom Thibodeau. I always fear that he plays his players into the ground too much. But you know, not wishing no harm on no player like that. But I just any team with Tom Thibodeau, you know, I just worry about that. Um, Plays a lot of his guys heavy minutes, but of course, you know the New York Knicks have Cat, and when they're on, they're a great offensive team. But sometimes, you know, they don't look like the Knicks that they could be. You know, they don't look like what we thought they would be. You know, I thought the Knicks would be a team that would probably win 60 to 65 games potentially. But, you know, they're definitely a danger. And then, of course, you have the Boston Celtics, who are defending NBA champion. But Boston and me are frauds. I know Ticket put that out there. I'm not convinced about them, man. Because people got to remember that championship run they had last year, they're playing injured teams. And people don't point that out enough. They got really lucky playing a bunch of injury plagued teams every round, you know? And then, you know, I will say this: there's one team out there on the Eastern Conference I think is dangerous, and that's the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons, I think, what didn't they win like 15 games last year? Now they're 29-26. So they're a very dangerous team. They're young, they're hungry, uh, they're physical, and they could be a very dangerous team because they got nothing to play for. Well, I won't say nothing to play for, but they do got something to play for. That's not what I meant to say. They got no expectations put upon them. You know what I'm saying? Like they could go out in any series and not have really any pressure on them. So that's dangerous. So I tell you, any team that's playing against Detroit, I think that's going to be a tough out. In the Western Conference, the Thunder, I think, are still the creme de la creme. I know that the Timberwolves just beat them, but that's the same Timberwolves team that just lost to the Bucks with no Giannis. You know what I'm saying? So uh, they're a team that you really don't know what to expect from, the Timberwolves. I still think the Thunder are the best team in the Western Conference. I know there's Denver. Denver's still there. I think they'll be a tough out. The Lakers, to me, are pretenders. I think the Luka trade was a trade that was done for the future of the Lakers franchise. I think the Lakers still have too many problems. Their defense is going to be trash. The center position is pretty trash. Um, I think they'll be exposed in the playoffs. I think the best the Lakers will do is the second round, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get knocked out in the first round. If they get matched up against the right team, you know what I'm saying? Uh, if Denver play them, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? If Denver plays them, it's an absolute wrap. And trying to think of the other teams in the West. The Grizzlies are second, right? I don't know, man. I don't think the Grizzlies are a championship team. I think the Grizzlies' ceiling is the conference finals, but I think they will ultimately lose to like the Thunder or the Nuggets. I think the one team that could potentially get to the NBA finals if everything goes right, although I don't think they can win a championship. I don't know why. I think they could get to the finals. I just don't see them beating the Cavs, right? I don't see them beating the Cavs or the Bucks. Uh, well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they could. I don't know if the Rockets could go all the way, but I think the Rockets could surprise people. You know what I'm saying? The Rockets to me are a dangerous team. But I just tend to think that ultimately their lack of experience will come back to bite them. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just don't. I mean, how many times we really see, honestly, a team that has nothing but a bunch of young guys for the most part. Although there are some veterans on the club, but I think they're a tough out. But I just don't know if the Rockets can win a championship. I still feel like they're like maybe a piece away or something. But I do think they'll be a tough out. You know what I'm saying? So I think the best teams in the Western Conference are the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Rockets. I think the Clippers are better than what we thought they'd be, but they're not championship contenders in my opinion. So the teams that I think are the primitive favorites are the two teams that we haven't said a favorite all along: the Thunder and the Cavaliers. Now I do think the Cavaliers got better. Uh, I do think that. Let me think about this. I think the Cavaliers have gotten better. I think the Spurs have gotten better, right? But I don't see them as like a championship team this year, nothing like that. Dallas and LA, that's left to be determined. I know everybody's saying, "Oh, the Mavericks lost their trade," but they're basing it upon all the injuries they have right now. I still believe that the Mavericks trade is going to still be a trade that people will finally agree maybe next year that that's the trade that the Mavericks won. Okay, I do think that that's going to help the Dallas Mavericks in the short term. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the Raptors ultimately got better. I didn't mention them because I don't think they're championship contenders. And who am I forgetting to mention? Oh, no, yeah, the Warriors. Look, I know they're 3-1 since Jimmy Butler joined and all that, man. But I don't think that the Warriors are a championship team. I think that they're like a team that might can get to maybe. I think they'll get like to the first round of playoffs, or you know, I don't know, man. I just look at how deep the West is. I give them the first round of playoffs and maybe a tough out, you know, out in six or something like that. Because some of these teams ain't getting out of the play-in. So that's just how I look at that with the Warriors, man. Because let me see something. Right now, the Warriors are what, the 10th seed? Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't. Trying to see the difference between 6 and 10. 31-23. So that's 3.5 games. It's possible. The Timberwolves are bipolar. The Mavericks are hurt. The Kings, they're about 500. They can potentially keep that up. I can see the Warriors making a little ground, moving to like the eighth or seventh spot. Maybe the eighth or seventh spot. but I still think they're gonna be in the play-in tournament. More than likely, they're still gonna be in the play-in tournament, and I could see them getting out of the play-in tournament and then losing like in the first round. So that's pretty much how I see it, man. I think the Thunder and the Cavs are still the best teams and the favorites coming out of the East Conference. That's just how I see it, man. Now, of course, they could be upset. They could have injuries. I think Shea is the MVP of the NBA right now, even though he didn't have the best performance shooting wise last night, and they lost. But I still think he's the MVP. I think Denver's still dangerous, and on the East, I think the Cavaliers are dangerous. I think the Bucks are dangerous now with these moves, especially when Giannis comes back healthy. I think Boston is still there, but I'm not sold on them like I was. I think the Knicks are dangerous, and I think the Pistons are a dark horse. I think the Pistons are a team because remember, every year in the playoffs, there's always that one team that overperforms and is like performs, remarkably better than what people expect, and the Pistons might be that team. That's just how I look at it. Tell me what you guys think.